All right, welcome to the continuing streaming of the If My People Bible, a reading from the very first book to the very last one. Complete this Bible. Stick with us. It's something that you'll be blessed with. So we are in Job 28, verse 1, and we'll do the reading so you can read along with me here, or you can just listen. Verse 28. There is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. Man puts an end to the darkness. He searches the furthest recesses for ore in the blackest darkness. Far from where the people dwell, he cuts a shaft. In places forgotten by the foot of man, far from men, he dangles and sways. The earth from which food comes is transformed below as by fire. Sapphires come from its rocks, and its dust contains nuggets of gold. No bird of prey knows that hidden path. No falcon's eye has seen it. Proud beasts do not set foot on it, and no lion prowls there. Man's hand assaults the flinty rock and lays bare the roots of the mountains. He tunnels through the rock, his eyes see all its treasures. He searches the sources of the rivers and brings hidden things to light. But where can wisdom be found? Where does understanding dwell? And we'll comment right there. Now, let's just put this in today's standard. The reason we put Job first is we believe that Job was written even before the Torah was completed by Moses, and that there was Torah from the very beginning. But pay attention to what you're not here. What is it that man is concentrating on here? Gold, silver, things from the earth, sapphire, things that are hidden, things that must be found. And so when you take the traditional approach that man was started off in a caveman and worked his way up, and it took him thousands of years to find out how to make copper or bronze or even to heat up metal, who taught him all this? And why would the Father teach him any of this? And if man is now wanting to go to the moon, and then from the moon to Mars, and then from other planets, what is the first thing that man is wanting to do? He's wanting to mine. That's what they're all planning to do. They're going to go places and mine. They're going to look for treasures in other planets and bring it back and use it. They're going to go there and try to create their own oxygen and their own water and their own elements so they can be self sustained. That is what goes on when men are going to plan to go to Mars. And yet, that's what we're seeing here. And you'd have to say to yourself, who taught him to do this? Who's interested in gold? Does God want you to wear gold and teach you how to do it? But who is a grievous and an envious and a slothful and a horrible liar and a deceitful and a deceptor, um, who used to be Lucifer, who used to be of the light, and now is no Luciferic, but is in fact a man of darkness, and all the minions that go with him. Think on these things as we start going to this Bible of why there is absolute evil and absolute goodness in this world. Verse 13. Man does not comprehend its worth. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deep says, it's not in me. The sea says, it is not with me. It cannot be brought with the finest gold, nor its price be weighed in silver. It cannot be bought with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or sapphires. Neither gold nor crystal can compare with it, nor can it be had with jewels of gold. Coral and jasper are not worthy of mention. The price of wisdom is beyond rubies. The topaz of Cush cannot compare with it. It cannot be uh, bought with pure gold. Where does wisdom come from? Where does understanding dwell? It is hidden in the eyes of every living being. Comment, every living being. Back to the word. Concealed even from the birds of the air. Verse 22. Destruction, we'll move it up here. Destruction and death say, only a rumor of it has reached our ears. Elohim understands the way to it, and he alone knows where it dwells. For he views the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. When he established the force of the wind and measured out the waters, when he made a decree for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm, Then he looked at wisdom and appraised it. He confirmed it and he tested it. And he said to man, the fear of Yahweh, that is, wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding. Chapter 29. Job continued in his discourse. How I long for the months gone by, for the days when Elohim watched over me, when his lamp shone upon my head, and by his light I walked through darkness. Oh, for the days when I was in my prime, when Elohim's intimate friendship blessed my house, when the Almighty was still with me and my children were around me, when my path was drenched with cream and the rock poured out for me streams of olive oil, when I went to the city gate and took my seat in the public square, the young men saw me and stepped aside, and the old men rose to their feet. The chief men refrained from speaking and covered their mouths with their hands. The voices of the nobles were hushed, and their tongues stuck to the roofs of their mouths. Whoever heard me spoke well of me, and those who saw me commended me, because I rescued the poor who cried for help, and the fatherless who had none to assist him. The man who was dying blessed me. I made the widow's heart sing. I put on righteousness as my clothing, justice as my robe and my turban. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy. I took up the case of the stronger. I broke the fangs. I took up the case of the stranger. Verse 17. I broke the fangs of the wicked and snatched the victims from their teeth. I thought, I will die in my own house. My days as numerous as the grains of sand. My roots will reach to the water, and the dew will lie all night on my branches. My glory will rest and remain fresh in me, the bow ever new in my hand. Men listened to me expectantly, waiting in silence for my counsel. After I had spoke, they spoke no more. My words fell gently on their ears. They waited for me as for showers, and drank in my words as the spring rain. When I smiled at them, they scarcely believed it, and the light of my face was precious to them. I chose the way for them as they sat, and sat as their chief. I dwelt as a king among his troops. I was like one who comforts mourners. But now they mock me, men younger than I, whose fathers I would have disdained to put with all my sheepdogs. Of what use was the strength of their hands to me, since their vigor had gone from them? Haggard from want and hunger, they roamed the parched land and desolate wastelands at night. In the brush they gathered salt herbs, and in their food was the root of the broom tree. They were banished from their fellow men, shouted as if they were thieves. They forced their way to live in the dry stream beds, among the rocks and the holes in the ground. They brayed among the bushes and huddled in the undergrowth. A base of a nameless brood, they were driven out of the land. And now their sons mock me in song, and I have become a byword among them. I will stop there for a minute and go to 30:10. 30:10. They detest me and keep their distance. They do not hesitate to spit in my face. Now that Elohim has unstrung my bow and afflicted me, they throw off restraint in my presence. On my right, the tribe attacks. They lay snares on my feet. They build their siege ramps against me. They break up my road. They succeed in destroying me without anyone's helping them. They advance as though through a gaping breach. In the ruins they come rolling in. Terrors overwhelm me. My dignity is driven away as by wind. My safety vanishes in a cloud. Verse 16. And now my life ebbs away. Days of suffering grip me. Night pierces my bones. My gnawing pains never rest. In his great power, Elohim becomes like a clothing to me. He binds me like the neck of my garment. He throws me in the mud, and I am reduced to dust and ashes. Verse 20. I cry out to you, O Elohim, but you do not answer. I stand up, but you merely look at me. You turn on me ruthlessly with the might of your hand, and you attack me. You snatch me up and drive me before the wind. You toss me about in the storm, and I know you will bring me down to death, to the place appointed for all living. Surely no one lays a hand on a broken man when he cries for help in his distress. Have I not wept for those in trouble? Has not my soul grieved for the poor? Comment. He's laying it all out back and forth. Do I really deserve this? Haven't I done good enough for you? 26. Yet when I hoped for good, evil came. When I looked for light, then came darkness. The churning inside me never stops. Days of suffering confront me. Verse 28. I go about blackened, but not by the sun. I stand up in the assembly and I cry for help. I have become a brother of jackals, a companion of owls. My skin grows black and peels. My body burns with fever. My harp is tuned to mourning, and my flute to the sound of wailing. Chapter 31. I made a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully at a girl. For what is a man's lot from Elohim above, his heritage from the Almighty on high? Is it not ruin for the wicked, disaster for those who do wrong? Does he not see my ways and count my every step? If I have walked in falsehood, or my foot has hurried after deceit, let Elohim weigh me in honest scales, and he will know that I am blameless. And if my steps have turned from the path, if my heart has been led by my eyes, or if my hands have been defiled, then may others eat what I have sown, and may my crops be uprooted. Verse 9. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or I have lurked on my neighbor's door, then may my wife grind another man's grain, and may my other men sleep with her, for that would have been shameful a sin to be judged. Kind of mention the Ten Commandments here too. It is a fire that burns a destruction. It would have been uprooted at my harvest. If I had denied justice to my men servants and maid servants when they had a grievance against me, what will I do when Elohim confronts me? What will I answer when called to account? Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one form us both within our mothers? Verse 16. If I have denied the desires of the poor, or let the eyes of the widow grow weary, if I have kept my bread to myself, not sharing it with the fatherless, but from my mouth I reared up as would a father, and from my birth I guided the widow, if I had seen anyone perishing for lack of clothing, or a needy man without a garment, and his heart did not bless me for warming him with the fleece from my sheep, if I had raised my hand against the fatherless, knowing that I had influence in court, then I let my arm fall from the shoulder, let it be broken off at the joint. For I have dreaded destruction for Elohim. There's a small comment here. Yeshua says later on, and you remember this part, because Yeshua wrote this entire Bible. He brings it up in the New Testament an even better way. If you're something in your eye, pluck it out. Something in your arm, cut it off. He's not meaning you to go cut your arms and eyes out. He's just using that as an understanding. If you got a problem, don't kill yourself over it, but take care of the problem. You'll live with a missing eye. You'll live with a missing limb, but you can't live with a missing head or a heart. That's what Yeshua is saying. He says, don't commit suicide. Never commit suicide. That's up to judgment on that one. Verse 23. Where are we at? 1337. Doing all right. For I dreaded destruction from Elohim, and for fear of his splendor, that I could not do such things. If I had put my trust in gold, or said of pure gold, you are my security. If I have rejoiced over my great wealth, the fortune my hands have gained. If I had regarded the sun, its radiance, or the moon, moving in splendor, so that my heart was secretly enticed, and my hand offered them a kiss of homage, then these would be the sins to be judged, and I would have been unfaithful to Elohim on high. If I had rejoiced at my enemy's misfortune, or gloated over the trouble that came to him, I would not have allowed my mouth to sin by invoking a curse against his life. If the men of my household had never said, who is not had his fill of Job's meat? But no stranger had to spend the night in the street, for my doorway has always been open to the traveler. If I had concealed my sin as men do, by hiding my guilt of heart, because I so feared the crowd, or so dreaded the contempt of the clans, that I was kept silent and would not go to the outside. Oh, that if I had someone to hear me, I sign now my defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser put his indictment in writing, and we'll stop there until the next reading. And we'll begin at 31 36. Blessings.